Okay. With the hour of 6 having arrived, we'll get underway with tonight's Tuesday, February 12th, 2019 meeting of the Beal Early Childhood Center Building Committee. First item for this evening is to review and approve the meeting minutes of January 8th, 2019 and the CM at Risk Subcommittee minutes of December 5th, 2018. Comments? If not, motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve the January 8th, 2019 and December 5th, 2018 minutes. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're unanimous. At this point, I would like to ask Chris Carroll from PMA to give us an update on our overall staffing pattern. Chris?
Thank you. Again, I'm Chris Carroll with PMA. I haven't seen a few of you in a while. Always happy to be here. Wanted to bring some news tonight that after 26 years, unfortunately, Paul Queenie is going to be departing PMA. Midlife crisis moving on. And the good news is that we have Walter Hartley, who most of you have seen before. Walter worked on the library and is familiar with the town, as well as had the option to work with Fontaine on the library as well. So we're going to backfill Paul with Walter, and that'll take effect immediately. Paul's last day is Friday, and we wanted to make sure that you guys know we're on it. We're keeping the transition as smooth as possible, and I think Walter's the best possible option we could have come up with regardless. So I think we want to thank Paul, obviously, for his long tenure here at the town of Shrewsbury, which has been 4 projects now, including this one. He's been good for us, and I hope you guys appreciated him as well. And we just want to make sure that if you had any questions or concerns, you please always come to me and Walter, and also Kevin Nigro will still assist a little bit, and Deb Scher. And we're also about to bring on a clerk of the works into PMA that will work on this project as well. So,
Very good. Comments? Questions? Paul, frankly, I enjoy working with very few people, but I actually enjoyed working with you immensely. You, every time I had one of my, I really would like it to look like this, somehow you actually understood what I was talking about, and it helped me to understand this project early on and where we were going. It helped me, I think, and it helped others and prepare for town meeting, etc. So, on behalf of the building committee, I'd like to thank you very much for your efforts on our behalf.
Thank you very much. And PMA, it's always been a team, but I've been a common thread through all the PMA's assignments, and it's been a pleasure to work for the town of Shrewsbury. And I feel that these projects are signature projects in my career, and I know there'll be one day I'm driving down the pike going home, and I'll pull over just to see. 10 years from now, I'll pull over, look at the Sherwood Middle School or something, just to see how it's holding up. It's been a pleasure to work for the town of Shrewsbury, and that's one aspect I'll miss, as well as a lot of other things. But moving on to a new opportunity at University of Massachusetts at Lowell to take my career in a little different direction. But I'm going to miss all of you, and I appreciate all the good. We're the hired help here, but I've been treated like family, and I appreciate that.
You've done a great job. Anything you'd like to say?
Ready to go?
Great. That was the good answer.
I will brag for Walter, because he's too modest, but he just finished the Carver Elementary School. It was on schedule and under budget. It was a very difficult contractor, and so if he can do that and perform in that environment, and we have a team we've collaborated with before on the library, and I'm certain that you'd be well served by Walter.
On that note, a couple of friends of mine in southeastern Mass served on that building committee, and have given me rave reviews about Walter. So hopefully in 18 months we can do the same.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to item 3. Here, reports, review, and act on the following matters. Report of the owner's project manager.
Well, the first item is the schedule. So I have a handout. There's a 3-page schedule with a lot of detail that you can take home and read. And if any questions come up, I won't torture you on my last day here to go through this line by line. But the highlight is that this project is currently in the design development stage of design, and the architect Katie Crockett will talk in a few minutes about where the status of that design is, but the drawings are about to be submitted to the MSBA. They're prepared to be submitted for the February 22nd, so we're maintaining our schedule that we committed to with the MSBA. And to follow that will be a construction cost estimate. So at the completion of this phase of design, there will be a detailed construction cost estimate, one prepared by the CM and the other prepared by the architect's estimator, A.M. Fogarty, and those two estimates will be reconciled. So we will, at the March Building Committee, PMA and the architect and the CM will report to the committee to show the status of that current construction cost estimate. And if things go according to plan, we anticipate that construction cost estimate will be at our budget value, and it could be a little lower if we're lucky. But that's the process that we take here with these next steps. And as a check estimate, the CM recently did a check estimate based upon the schematic design documents and the in-process design developments, and that showed as a check that we are on target. So that's a good cost to report. I'm blending a little bit into the financials because I'm talking a little bit about cost as well. So those are the early actions on the schedule. We'll be talking. Katie will be talking about the plans that could be submitted in a minute, and then next meeting they'll be talking about the construction cost estimate and how that tracks with the budget. And as a reference, I passed out another 11 by 17 two-sided sheet. This is our project budget, and thus far we're just up in these early design phases. We're in the design development phase, which is line 10 of the owner's project manager, and it's line 25 under the architecture. But down below here, you can see the construction cost estimate. That starts at line 51. And so this is our current budget for construction costs. And as you've turned the page over to the second side, line 98 has a $74,111,000 estimated construction cost. And so that's the number we're going to be seeking to have the design development construction cost estimates be at or below that number. And the same process will occur that we're doing now at the DD phase will happen at 60% CD phase. CD is construction documents phase, and at the 90% construction documents phase. So every step of the way we have a chance to take the temperature and assure that we're remaining on track with respect to budget. Any questions about the process and the kind of the overview of the budget and schedule?
Questions?
And we have been tracking as we go. We have working level meetings with the architect, OPM, and CM, and we've been tracking carefully things that have potential to influence the cost. And one of the things is the careful design considerations being given to the excavation and backfill that occurs on the site, and to make sure that stays, there'll be no budget surprises with that. So that careful design is ongoing, and different ways of finding, different ways of adjusting the grades of the landscape to assure that the minimum amount of materials have to be trucked off site are being done. And also there was a request to ask to check on. There was one adjustment in design that happened that we have spoken about briefly, was the loop road that goes around the site. It was suggested to increase that by 4 feet, and the CM did a construction cost estimate and showed that was a $60,000 increase to the project cost, but it was a worthwhile thing to do because of the public safety and the access the fire trucks needed. But even with notwithstanding that, we expect the design development construction cost estimate will be still at or under the budget that we have established. And that's all I have. I'll turn it over to Katie, because we will talk about Lake Street a little bit later on.
Any questions for the owner's project man? If not, 3B, report from the architect. Katie?
Very good. Since we met last, we've had continued obviously with the design development process for our project, including an interdepartmental review meeting that was held here at the municipal building with the major departments represented. It was a very good session. We reviewed the drawings, particular emphasis on the site, and got comments, and so we've been developing those into the project. We also gave an update to the school committee. We hadn't done that since the authorization vote, so we had a meeting to update the school committee. As Paul said, there's been tremendous effort between Fontaine and everybody up here to take a look at the site, in particular, on this project. We recognize that as our best opportunity to reduce costs if we can, economy aside. So we have been working as a group to address that. Toward that end, we, the designer, have hired to have even further geotechnical work done at the site this week. So there are a couple of things that we're trying to juggle through the project. One is the naturally occurring arsenic soil, which tells us leave as much on the site as possible. The other is the soil composition, which is not unusual in Shrewsbury with a high silt content, so it doesn't drain very well. So some of that is good to keep, and some of it really isn't. So that's the sort of technical overview of what we're trying to balance through this entire project. So this geotechnical work, we're hoping, will give us a better sense for the level of compaction the soil can take so that we can maintain it on site. So we're doing that this week to get that more complete. Additionally, we're continuing to research areas that we can, in an economically feasible way, remove the soil to another place to chase down. In town and anywhere we can where it may be economically feasible. So these are what we feel, as we say, it's the lowest hanging fruit in terms of trying to be able to save further money on this project. So our efforts have really been focused on that for the design development. That said, we did upload the design development drawings and specifications for your review. If you had a chance to look at them, I think you do get a sense for the level of detail that's already embedded in the project with all of the consultants' work. The first glance at the specifications, which will include things about the construction management process, the procurement methods here in town, all of the elements that make this project what it is. We have uploaded those to our estimators yesterday to start the estimating process, which is to be complete on March 7th. That's when we have a reconciliation meeting scheduled. So that will be a big day. That, of course, is prior to our March 12th building committee meeting. So we will, once we have the reconciled numbers, we'll distribute them to you in advance of that meeting for your review, and you will be voting that night. Additionally, on March 7th is the site plan review meeting. We are submitting the site plan.
The planning board?
The planning board, yes, thank you. Planning board review meeting of our site plan submission, which is going in tomorrow. So tonight, and those are the plans, the site plans that you saw in that drawing set. We are asking for your approval of the design development set without the estimate, so that we can submit that to MSBA. As we said, this is a very complicated, almost what you call stutter step process from here on. We have to submit to MSBA on February 22nd. That's the date we're doing that. So that will be the drawings. We'll follow up with the estimate after the reconciliation. And so there's that vote we're asking for. We're also asking for a vote to authorize us to submit to the planning board the site plan submission that we have. And then, just so that you understand, from here on in, we are doing the 60% contract documents for the building and parallel track 100% site drawings for the site. So they are going to be complete simultaneously in early May. And if you remember, that's what we have coordinated with Fontaine and with the town in terms of trying to get the site developing the site at the best time of the year, which would be the summer and this fall. So this is a very important juncture. They're all important junctures, but this one is in particular because we're already getting into very close to construction beginning. And that is the end of my report. And
Okay.
There are no questions.
Questions for the architect? Not seeing any. Excuse me, I forget your name.
Frank,
Frank from Fontaine Brothers.
correct.
Anything that concerns you, constructibility?
No, we've
Anything
been
else?
working with PMA and LPA through the process, and everything looks good. We have concerns about the soil. Soil is.
Volume of?
Not so much the volume as where do you have soil that has arsenic in it.
Yes.
So you need to deal with that.
Yep.
And the more we can keep on site, the better off it is for the budget. Due to the composition of the soil, it's not great for compaction or using under the building. Typically where we like to put it,
Sure.
mix it with other soils.
Yep.
So that's, I think, the biggest challenge. Other than that, it's a great site.
Okay. So I think we should first call for a vote authorizing the submittal to the Shrewsbury Planning Board. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion is made and second to approve the submittals to the Shrewsbury Planning Board. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very good. If there aren't any further questions for the architect or for Fontaine Brothers, I'd like to jump to item 5 and authorize the submission of the design development package without estimates. There a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're unanimous. In this case, we'll now go to item 4 for the Lake Street realignment update. Mr. Mizikar.
So, as everyone on the committee knows, one of the important parts of the project from a site development standpoint is the realignment and reconstruction of Lake Street. And within the project budget, as has been approved at town meeting and by the MSBA, is about $1.2 million for the construction aspects of that. And as Fontaine and the architect and OPM team started to look at this aspect of the project in a little bit more detail, and Fontaine looked at the constructability of it, we started to learn that there's several different options and ways to approach this project, some which would require additional costs that weren't within the budget, and one that would not. And those are all related to accessibility through the road during the time of construction. There's two different aspects. One is moving the road and taking the corner out of it, but the other is lowering the geometry of the road and taking the hump out of it. So as they would be removing soils and materials to take the hump out of the road, they would have to shore up the side if the road was going to remain open, at least partially. So we worked and understood the different cost parameters that ranged, roughly from about additional $500,000 to have a loop road kind of constructed through the construction site and around Lake Street where they'll be working, up to a little over $1 million, maybe it's a 1.6 to actually keep the road at least one lane open throughout the course of the construction. The third option would be to close the road completely during the construction and will not allow any through traffic. In addition to cost consideration, there's also timing considerations. So the less open the roadway is to public access and traffic, the faster the project can be done. So we look to strike a balance with that internally, and the team rightfully threw it back over to the town, and I've worked with DPW and the fire chief and police chief, and we're all comfortable with, and also Mr. Collins, as we kind of looked at busing and impacts that may happen with the, as we enter the new school year, to see what the best approach would be. And we're all rather comfortable with having the road closed, not having any additional funds be required from the project, and allow the project to proceed as quickly as possible as far as the realignment of the roadway goes. So that's a recommendation that I certainly support and would like for the committee to consider. It will also have to go to the Board of Selectmen as the road commissioners to close that, and it's on the board's agenda tonight for their consideration of what process they may want to take with that. But I think that's the update for the committee at this point.
Great, thank you. Questions from the committee?
Is there any estimate about how long this is gonna take?
I think it's 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, that's the closure, the complete closure, but if we were to go with having the road open, it's gonna take more like 8 to 10 months. And it is a somewhat unfortunate timing because it's gonna start at a time where it's gonna have the most impact on the school year, because it's not gonna be able to start until September. But I really, I had a conversation with Dave Fontaine Jr. about, well, why can't we start this in the summer? And he calmly reminded me that this is as fast as we can go. We're only gonna be at 60% design of the building and 100% design of the site this coming May. So it wouldn't be prudent to be working on this aspect of the project until we know how all the utilities and everything else under the building and around the building are gonna lay out, so we don't shoot ourselves in the foot by moving too soon. But the impact on the busing, there'll be a little bit, but it's really manageable, and certainly Fontaine knows that the sooner we get it done, the sooner we get back to normal from all aspects of transportation, including the schools on Lake Street.
Yes?
Patrick, how many buses will it affect roughly?
Sure, so in the morning, going in either direction, right now there's 20 bus trips. In the midday there's 11, and in the afternoon there's 11. So the general plan would be to have those buses routed around Howe Avenue and up and around Howe Avenue, and so pretty much the majority of that traffic would be detoured to that particular route. It would impact scheduling a bit, but it's certainly something we can adapt to for the beginning part of the year. There are also, there is a bus stop at Lake Street and Hawk Ridge, which is that new cul-de-sac nearest the site, and one other bus stop between Hawk Ridge and Route 9, so we'll have to just game plan picking up those students and then having a bus turn around and go back, exit out Route 9. So those are what the impacts would be, but again, in consultation with the bus company, we can work around those, and I think the worst case scenario might be some temporary additional bus or two for that particular time period, which would be in comparison to the alternatives, a far lesser cost.
Okay, so bus routes plus some minimal additional cost for busing?
Potentially, but
May
it's
not, depending on the number of students and all that by
Right.
the end? Okay.
right.
Further questions? If not, could I have a motion to support the 4-month option, the close option to deal with the reconstruction of Lake Street made to the road commissioners?
So moved?
Second? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're unanimous. Any other basic questions? Patrick?
I am just interested a little bit more around the combination, if you will, of site work and the Lake Street realignment. And are those two separate contracts, the same contract? How does that work get phased? If we're,
It would be one contract,
Okay.
is where we're tracking at the moment, to just have one site contractor.
And they would begin doing site work first? Or would
First, we
go-
gotta do demo, gotta take the buildings
Yeah.
down, then we'd have to start the street, and then it would go in and start the earthwork in the building.
Okay.
Isn't, if I could, because I was following along, I was going to make sure that I'm understanding it.
Yep.
Until you understand how much your cut and fill options are relative to the material.
Correct.
You can't set the building where you need it, and therefore you can't go ahead and do the road because you could have the
Correct.
incorrect elevations, et cetera, utilities. Is that what I heard
That-
Kevin
That
outline?
is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Patrick, anything else?
No.
Okay. I wanted to just, well, there you have it. The item I was gonna slip in now, I forgot, so you guys are safe, one item. So set the date for the next meeting is, I think, March 12th, as we've said it in the, what's that?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, March 12th is the next one. And other than that, I think we're in good shape. The one item that I forgot that has blown right back into my mind is the deed update. So DCAM and our council have worked, I think, diligently and in good faith. The final series of edits on the deeds are in to DCAM for review, and we're hoping that this week they will complete the review. I think the work between them has improved the deeds greatly and clarified some issues relative to other landowners and easements and so forth. So I think Kevin's ready to close, whenever they're ready to close. Signing the deeds and so forth are on our agenda for this evening. So I'm hoping within the next week or two, everything will be executed. And we should then be in, well, we will have knocked over a good milestone.
Absolutely,
So
congratulations.
we'll get an update on that as we move forward, and then if we get the final approvals, I'll ask that Kevin notify the board committee. All right, if that seems to be it. Oh, yes.
One question on the Lake Street realignment. I know we need to go before the Board of Selectmen to get approval for that.
Well, we're bringing it up this evening with the recommendation of the building committee.
And that, so that, will that take care of that requirement?
I don't know if my colleagues will want
Want a
to, will
presentation
want a
or
presentation
not?
or will want
Okay,
something
so if you
else.
could keep us up to date
Absolutely.
on that, that'd be
Yep.
great. All right,
You
thank you.
can watch us live should you choose to do so. Any other questions, comments?
Okay.
Paul, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Walter, welcome.
Thank you.
Other than that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.